Welcome to Coachable, where I teach coachable moments. Today, we are touring the Blackfathom Deeps using Hogger and his squad. So for this deck, we're going with Hogger, Harpies, Murlok Tidehunters, Ghoul, Cheeky Bandits, Drake, and Dark Spirit Trolls. Now this deck revolves primarily around Hogger, since his active ability increases his movement speed and attack speed. So, Harpies, you really want to try and pair with Drake as much as possible. Murlok Tidehunter is used primarily in the first match to get chests. Ghoul heals himself and gets armor with his talent. Cheeky Bandits are just that. They're being cheeky, so you want to pair him with Hogger as much as you can. Drake summons, if you have Drake's talent, they summon whelp periodically down whichever lane they go. And Dark Spirit Trolls, the talent, Big Bad Voodoo, where he heals himself. So you can pair Ghoul with Dark Spirit Trolls, and that's going to be a great annoying pairing because they both heal themselves, and Ghoul becomes stronger whenever he cannibalizes. Alright, so the mechanics for the first boss are pretty simple and straightforward. It's really just a bunch of Murlok Tidehunters on cliffs until you get to the boss. And what they'll do is pass through that bridge in the middle, go to the cliff. So if right from the start, like what you see I did here, bring either Ghoul or Tidehunters to the chest on the left lane. And then your primary lane is the right lane. I love going with the right lane just to take that first base, and then from there it seems pretty straightforward to the boss and on your way to victory. Now, what I've noticed with the Murlok Tidehunters on a cliff is only flying minis can take those out. So once you take those out, especially the one closest to your base that can attack your base, they have to respawn going through the right lane, which is why I love using the right lane for this boss. So when you spawn minis on the right lane, after the Murlok Tidehunters respawn, those minis will interact with them and then kill them off. So that way you don't have to worry about them reaching the cliff again. Now when you're done with this phase of the match, after you take your first base, keep going with the right lane so that way your flying minis can also take the Murlok Tidehunters on the next cliff right near the boss. Now as long as those Tidehunters aren't on the first cliff, you can, as soon as that chest summons on the left lane, you can keep taking it. What's going to happen is enemies are going to come down that left lane, but you don't have to worry about those too much. You can focus your primary lane on the right, and then as needed, use minis on the left just to deal with any pesky enemies that come about. And that does it for the first boss. On to the second. Now the second boss is heavy in flying units, which is where your ranged units and flying units come into play. To start off, I like summoning Hogger just to get that increase in movement speed and attack, and he can tank the first base, and then right after that, go with ranged or flying combined. So you can go with Harpies or Drake, or if they're up, you can go with the Trolls, Ghoul, Murlok Tidehunters, that grouping. Once you down the first base, what you want to do next is get Harpies and Drake and send them to the left lane to down that next base, to down the left lane base that's smack dab in poison. At the same time you do that, you can get your ranged units to go through the middle lane with using the first base that you took. That way you'll start an onslaught to the boss. And again, what I love about Drake is just summoning or spawning those periodic whelp eggs just throughout the lane. You don't have to worry about the right lane base too much. You can take it if you want with flying units. Just don't send any range units over there just because of poison. I like to take the first 2 bases you can get at and then just focus going straight to the boss. That way also your miner has 2 different gold ores to mine. Flying enemy units will come down from that 3rd base, but you don't have to worry about that too much. Alright, that does it for the 2nd boss. Now moving on to the 3rd and final boss, the Hydras. So right from the start, I always go with the left lane, use a tank, and then range units or flying if you have them out. I love to go with range first, but in this match it didn't turn out that well. I only had flying, so had to go with that. Darkspear Trolls is great to go left lane right out of the gate. Even after you take the first boss on the left lane, you want to focus all your minis, or most of your minis, on the left lane until you take that first base. Once you take that first base, then focus on the right lane, get the 2nd Hydra down, and then you can refocus all your minis to the 3rd Hydra using the underpass and the overpass at the same time. Now once you get the summoning stone on the right lane, if you need gold and that chest is there, definitely go straight for the chest, and then you want to switch that directional button to have your minis switch to the left lane, take out the 3rd Hydra. If not, they're just going to walk into the waterfall and die. What I like to do right at this point is start having your flying minis on the left lane to fly over the bridge, and that way they can take out any enemies that come through the bridge, and then use your range units to go on the right lane so that way they can take the chest. Doing this, you don't have to focus too much on mining any more gold. You can if you're low in gold, and it's always good to do so once you get the miner up, but that chest definitely helps you out in terms of gold. So you have the flying units on the left lane, range units on the right lane, and then split the tanks to either lane. Alright, that does it for the 3rd boss. Test this build out, let me know what you think. If you like the builds I make, subscribe so you can stay up to date on any new builds that come out. Thanks, and have a good day.